All right. Hey, everyone out there watching. Oracle Deep Dive series. Today we have Kleros. This is Clement from Kleros. He's, I believe, the founder, but we're going to get into it. And I'm super excited for this one because Kleros has been around for, I believe, a really long time.
Yeah, 2017.
2017, wow.
I started working in 2017 and released the first version in 2018.
Well, yeah, I mean, how'd you get into it? Like, what were you doing before Kleros?
Oh, well, I was a student, like I never really got employed. I went straight from like student intern to Web3 founder. Well, we don't call it Web3 at this time, but you get the idea. So I started like half of Kleros during an hackathon, which was a 1 month hackathon, so / incubator, where initially the problem that I identified was escrows in marketplaces, like stuff like Open Bazaar. So you already had like very basic escrow, like just multi-sigs. You could have one party, which is the buyer, one the seller, and one an arbitrator. And you could ask 2 out of 3 to sign. So most of the time, buyer and seller, they can be enough to move the funds when they agree, and when they disagree, they have an arbitrator. But the arbitrator would be only one person, and they had to agree on the arbitrator, which was obviously very, very bad for UX. So the idea was, oh, let's make an arbitrator DAO instead of having people choose individual as arbitrator. It's very hard to agree on one. You had Federico, which also had this idea of a crowdsourced jury. And we are put in touch by a mentor of the hackathon, and we fused those 2 projects into what will become Kleros.
Cool. Yeah, so this was in what, 2017 then, right? Or was this earlier?
Yeah, 2017, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, were you, and then you were a student, I guess, or I guess recently out of?
No, I had just finished, and the plan was definitely to make like to go into crypto. Like initially, I was participating a bit in the DAO, and the DAO got hacked. So I started to learn Solidity, basically, as I had like, let's say, some skin in the game. I wanted to get back my money from the DAO. And actually, I found a way to get back my money that I never executed because you had the hard fork, and I was scared that the hard fork would consider me as also one of the attackers. So I just got back my ETH through the hard fork and not through my own way of getting by my ETH. And yeah, after that, I went to do like this hackathon / incubator and went to build Kleros. Yeah.
Was it, did you then, I guess, raise money for Kleros, or did you try and just launch it?
No, we started a bit, like with our own funds. We got like in touch with VCs and stuff like that, but like VCs, they are always saying yes until it's time to sign the check, and or they want discount or stuff like that. Like VCs at the time where first you didn't have that much VC, and a lot of VC, maybe still even today, are just like what I would call discount VC, which don't provide much value. They are just like there to get token with approximately the same risk as individual, but with a discount. So we do not want to have that. Also, that's quite bad for token distribution to have those very large VC having a significant chunk of the tokens. So it's better to have the community or people working on the project to have a larger share of tokens. Sure. So we went to make a token sale as soon as we had like the first version ready. Well, the 0 version, because we call it the 0 version, which was just a single core. It was very unpractical at the time. Like you had to restake every week. You only had one application connected to it, which was a funny application of creating pictures of dodges. But it was enough to make the test, and after that, we iterated into the first version that we have running today.
Cool. So you guys did the tokens though, rather than launching.
Well, you can't have Kleros with a token sale. Like PNK is a token in the cryptoeconomic manifesto sense that the token is a necessary element of the system, such that if it was replaced by any other token, it would harm the functioning of the system. So you can't replace PNK with ETH, for example.
I think I would just ask you, like, from like the legal founder standpoint, would you do it differently if you were launching today? Like, how would you do the distribution?
Today, I would not even have a company. I would just do purely a DAO.
Yeah.
I think now, like back in the day, you didn't have much DAO tools, like what could you do? Like, yeah, like people try to make a DAO and then you got hacked, like you had no tools. So you cannot start with a DAO. You had to start with something like a foundation, which in our case is called a cooperative, but it's basically similar to a foundation, which is like cooperative is a non-profit. Yeah, like sell some token, get token holder, and then token holder can act as juror in Kleros. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Token sale are good, like it's not because you get something which is good, like token sale, and because it's good, it's working well, and then because it's working well, you get a bunch of bad, greedy actors which are doing the same thing, and then token sales they get bad names. But it's way better to do a token sale than raising from VC. Like I always prefer to be on a token sale project than a VC project. Specifically, if the ownership of token is important. Like if you have a token which is just maybe like capturing some money through fees or something like that, okay, maybe some VC can have it can work. If it's just like a token to reward the token holder and fund the project. But PNK is not like that. Like PNK, you really need it for Kleros to work. It's a staking token. You can't just get rid of the token sale and replace it with VC. It doesn't work like that. And yeah, like people they always get scared of like legal things, and maybe they still get scared of token sale now. I don't know. But yeah, they do. You are in a new space, so you're in a new space. You can't go and don't take risk. Like if you want to make a project and don't take risk, well, just don't work in crypto. Like that's probably not where you should go. And then like if you want to make a project, I would say like don't ask lawyers if you can make the project, because the lawyers they already have incentive to say you can't. Like they have zero incentive to say yes you can, because if they say yes you can and then you get sued,
I was just hanging out with your lawyer.
What?
I was hanging out with your lawyer last week at the Berlin conference. You guys have lawyers, right?
Oh, who? Are you talking about Jamilia? Jamilia is not a lawyer. Jamilia is a PhD student.
Oh, okay.
She's working in legal tech, but she's not like a lawyer of the cooperative.
She's just by trade a legal person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like lawyers, you should always ask them, I'm going to do that. What is the least risky way to do it?
Yeah.
And then you can make project. Because if you had asked lawyer, like you would not get Bitcoin, you would not get Ethereum. Like most of the projects you would have now, you would not have them if you had asked lawyer, can I do that? Because it's like a very new space and it's very fuzzy, like unknown. You have also a bunch of different states. And like you can't even do anything which is not gonna break any law of states, because the state, they have even laws which are contradictory. So you will always need to be breaking law of some states, because the laws they don't match together. So yeah, as crypto, you want to be the most like secure for yourself, and also what you want is you want to have a system which is not relying on you like your cooperative or you as an individual. Because you as a cooperative or as an individual, then you can have like people like targeting you of lawsuit, like trying to bully you. And actually that just happened yesterday, like you got some guys that don't like the ruling and they say, hey, like I'm gonna sue you. And they try like to intimidate jurors. So you have to have a system which must be like resistant to this kind of intimidation attempts. And even if I don't like some guy come gun with my head, well, I cannot do anything, like I don't have any admin key. I can't change the protocol for them. So because I can't do it, like they don't have much incentive to try to attack us, either like from a legal standpoint or from like a physical standpoint. Yeah. So you really want to make like projects which are resilient. And yeah, like that's Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is made to be resilient. Like you have miners. It does not rely on Satoshi. Like you could find Satoshi, you will not be able to break Bitcoin because you find Satoshi. Same for Ethereum. You can find the foundation, you can find Vitalik, the network will still be working. And I think that's something we had like a very, very huge focus on that, like really make a decentralized system, like make a resilient system that we don't have any admin keys or control. Yeah. And I think a lot of projects actually say, oh, we are doing DeFi, but well, you know, like you have a 1 out of 1 or 2 out of 3 multisig, which can upgrade the contract. Well, in this case, like if you get an attack, it will be like a legal attack or a physical attack. Well, you have the private keys, so you can modify the contract. So that's quite bad for people using the product.
Yeah.
So
I guess
can't be evil is better than don't be evil. Like you should put yourself in a position where you can't do anything bad.
Yes. No, I guess, okay, so we're going to get started whiteboarding it, but I guess before we'll kind of whiteboard out the current version or like the one you're currently using, but like, are there any major changes from when you started? Like, what was the big mistakes you made when you started Kleros?
Big mistake. Oh, well, big mistake was maybe on the communication, where we trusted people too much and we got like a marketing company, which basically was pretty much not doing anything. And then we had everything announced. So we did not raise much with token sale compared to similar projects. Hopefully, you know, like everything went well, you know, like we got like the price of ETH increased, we got a second token sale, we got also like some quite juicy airdrops and EL farming. So financially, like the cooperative is quite good now, but at some time, like Kleros was very close to dying, you know, like maybe like one or 2 million of difference, and Kleros would have died out of lack of funding. But now it is good. So yeah, like also like try to raise as much as you can, to get as much money as you can, even if people are like even if people maybe from that above, it's what you need to be resilient, because you don't know what's gonna happen, you don't know what the bear market is gonna be. You need to have some reserve to make sure that you can have a long-term commitment, financial commitment on the development of the project.
Cool. Yeah, no, Teller's very aware of almost running out of money early on. So it's cool. All right. Okay, so let's kind of get started. So I'm gonna, as far as whiteboarding out the project works, the first question is, what chains are you guys up on? Just Ethereum?
So, main version of Kleros is on Ethereum, and we have experimental court on Gnosis chain also.
On Gnosis chain?
Yeah. But
okay,
you can also use bridges. Like for example, we have some prediction market which is using Kleros, but it's on another chain. So cases are sent through a bridge, and answers are also sent through a bridge.
Okay, well, yeah, we can talk about, I guess we'll do Ethereum first, and then we can talk like how it would work if you were on a different chain too. But okay, so we'll put Ethereum over here. You know, the user would have some sort of smart contract. The way that I understand it, so the user, you would have your smart contract over here, user, and then they would get a dispute. So you know, like I like to, I mean, we could do an easy example. We could use Teller as far as there's a dispute, was the data correct in Teller, or, you know, is this the, you know, since this is an Oracle video, somebody said that the price of Bitcoin was $1,000. Is the price of Bitcoin actually $1,000? So then this would theoretically work, right?
I think it's not $1,000, but I haven't been watched with charts, so let's hope the answer is no.
So what would be a good example of what could work?
No, like your example is good. I was just messing around with you about the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, obviously, hopefully it's not 1,000 quite yet. But okay, so then what you would do is it would kick off to the Kleros system, right?
Yeah, so especially you need to find out like, when do you create a dispute? So a classic way, will be you have someone which put a stake where they stake the price of Bitcoin is 1,000, and someone will then challenge it by saying, no, the price of Bitcoin is not 1,000. And the challenger will also put a deposit. So you will now have like two people with deposits, and they both claim some things which are incompatible. So now they have a dispute.
So the challenger, I guess, he has to place P and K down as a deposit?
No. Like users, they never need to have P and K. P and K is only a staking system for staking token for jurors. End user never need P and K.
So what does he have to pay to challenge?
Cash?
ETH?
Yeah.
Okay, so
you don't even pay it, you put it in deposits. So you put both in deposits, like the one claiming that it sees that 1,000 puts a deposit, and then the challenger also puts a deposit. So now you have two deposits in the contract.
Okay, yeah.
You're gonna then use some of this money to pay for the juror. So this money is gonna be sent to Kleros.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, so what would be the amount, I guess? How much does it cost?
Well, it seems to be a simple question. So maybe I don't know, like maybe like 0.05 ETH, something like that.
Okay, so something like, I'm honestly just curious. Like, is it $2,000? Is it $10 million? I don't know.
Well, because you can choose how many juror you want. Normally, you may want to get like maybe like 3 juror or something like that.
What do you
because you need to pay per juror.
Yeah. So what information would he have to send over? So you would have to send some amount of money with number of jurors. What else? Details, I guess.
And you need to say, oh yeah, like what are the possible answers? So in this case, you will have two possible answers: yes, no. Yeah.
Well, would you do like you could do like a yes, no, or like an invalid, like
you always have invalid in some way, like which is refuse to arbitrate, and it's an option you can never get rid of because it's important for the system not to like to always have the potential to refuse to rule on cases which would be immoral. Like if someone wants to make an assassination market or something like that. In this case, the jurors, they will rule invalid, even if they know the answer to the question.
Okay. So the jurors could refuse.
Yeah. In practice, they never did, like that's only a protection from the system being used for malicious purposes.
Okay. And then, but like in this case, like I'm sure you've seen like Augur has had the issues of like invalid markets.
Yeah, like the curse of invalidity. I think Kleros doesn't really have that because what happened with Augur, that they were thinking, well, that's a system which works well, but that's only working well for cases which are really like clear cut. And if a case is not sufficiently determined, it could cause the system not to work. Right. So because they don't want to see bad results coming, because that's one thing you get with Kleros. Often you have some cases where you maybe have like 60% in favor of yes, 40% in favor of no, and then the 40% in favor of no, once they lose, they are like, oh, everything is bad, Kleros is broken, and then they are gonna put some. So the idea of Augur was to say, well, we're gonna avoid those cases, we only accept clear-cut cases, and everything else we rule that invalid. But then what happened is that they still ended up with not clear-cut cases, and we were not clear-cut, not between yes and no, but they were not clear-cut between like yes and invalid or no and invalid. So they still end up with cases which were not clear-cut, with one of the options being invalid, where people don't agree on whether something is valid or not. So in Kleros, we still decided that we will be able to answer cases which are not clear-cut, and also like for a user, like for a project integrated Kleros, well, you don't want to get Kleros to answer all the time. Well, I don't know. Like, it's not obvious. You want to have like rulings and like have the best ruling as you can. So you don't have this curse of invalidity. Kleros jurors are gonna rule according to the rules, and even if the rules are not completely determined, you have one stipulation of the general policy that they have to look at the spirit of the dispute. So they can have some subjective evaluation if something is not clear-cut.
Okay, cool. So nice answer. Okay, so we kick it off over to the Kleros system we have the details. We want a yes or no answer, and we want, how many jurors would you pick? Like 5?
Maybe you may start like with 3 jurors, for example. Yeah.
3? Like, I'm just wondering what a normal number is. Like,
It's generally between 1 and 5. Like 1 for very low value cases.
okay. So we'll pick 3 jurors, and we'll say these are the details, and then yes or no. And then it goes over here. And then I guess for Kleros, what's your symbol? It's like the
Icosahedron. No, that's making a David star here. Okay. Okay, but it's like slightly turned so you can see a K.
Oh,
it's a 20 face dice, but the angle is such that you see a K with the faces.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why. Okay, that's cool. Anyway, okay, so and then over on Kleros, then you have people who are jurors, right? So there's just, these are people who, I guess we'll put, they're over here. We'll give this one here, and they stake P and K.
Yeah.
Become a juror. So stake P and K. So they'll put a bunch of, and then how much is a stake, or does it vary?
Yeah, it varies by support. So maybe like 1,000 PNK for Miracle. Yeah.
So like,
approximately. I don't know the exact number.
and that so like, is it Sybil resistant in that sense? Like, can you just stake a whole bunch of P and K and you're going to be more often?
It's 1 PNK, 1 chance of being drawn.
Okay, so the more P and K, the more your chances are.
Yeah.
More chances. Okay, and then you would get randomly drawn from this set, and you would be a juror, right?
So you're gonna draw 3 PNK, and the owner of those PNK are gonna be drawing the case. Yeah.
Okay, so then.
But now you get 3 jurors. Yeah.
Random selection of 3, and then. Okay, so then you get, and then it goes down to what does the trial look like? I guess you could say, how long is that?
Yeah, so you will have some time for parties to provide evidence, and after that, juror can vote.
And I mean, what does the evidence, I guess, look like? Is this like in your Discord, or is this?
Oh no, like that. That's generally on chain or like not like evidence. Maybe very small evidence can be on chain or in small text. Longer text, you put a reference to an IPFS file.
Okay.
So often people write PDF memos.
All right. And then how long do they have? Is there like a time limit on these?
Evidence generally like 2 days, and voting maybe also around like 3 or 4 days. Yeah. All of that depend, of course. So you don't have one parameter.
Okay, so it's like roughly a week for a case.
Yeah, approximately. Yeah. So the jurors will vote, and then you will get a provisional result. And after you get your provisional result, well, parties may accept it, or they may want to appeal it. So if they appeal it, they will need to put some additional stake. And if they do that, you will double +1 the number of jurors. So you will get 7 jurors like on the next round.
Does it double, or?
The double +1. The +1 is just to make it an odd number, which reduces the risk of ties.
Okay, so if you appeal it, then I'm guessing it new selection, right?
Yeah, new selection, you skip the evidence period, you directly go to voting, and you get now 7 jurors. And then 15, etc. And
then does it go to an appeal again?
You can go to multiple appeals, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, you have a maximum number of jurors, which is like something a bit above 500. Because once you have drawn 500 jurors, you probably don't have much more new jurors. Like when you draw 500 jurors, you will have people drawn multiple times. So it's gonna look more like a vote, which would be like proportional to the token that people have when you draw a large number.
Does the fee
So-
double? I'm guessing this fee would double each time, or
Yeah. The price for draw fees would also increase.
and then so once you hit the max 500 jurors, then what happens as far as like if you do the whole?
Then the ruling would be final. You could not appeal it anymore.
Okay, so it would just
Ah.
go to accept.
So that's what is in this current version. You also have one thing which is an external incentive, that if even when you draw the maximum number of jurors, if you still think that the jurors are bad, like bad rulings, you can fork the system. You can make a copy basically of Kleros and remove the stake of the juror you believe are voting maliciously, and then you get another Kleros which can compete with the previous one, specifically if the ruling was bad.
Well, you would fork, but I mean, how would a user smart contract handle that?
Oh yeah, like a smart contract, they don't automatically fork. So a smart contract can either be fixed to a specific instance of Kleros, or smart contract could also, sometimes they have governor, like project, they may have governance, and they could decide to switch to another version of Kleros.
So
In practice, it never happened, but it's important that it could happen, because if it happened, that would mean that the PNK of the original Kleros would lose a lot of value.
well, that's what I was thinking.
So-
You would have like something in here like to where like you would have to basically monitor, like if there was a fork, you would then have to have some sort of governance to pick the fork, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like you could write something like maybe you guys already have this to where like you compare like Uniswap pools on the two tokens to see which one holds value a week after or something.
You could try to do something like that. Yes.
Well, because like
that
if
would
you
probably also be vulnerable to the same kind of economic attack as buying the majority of the tokens. So I'm not sure it would be. I think you like forking. You need to have some degree of subjectivity. Like the goal of forking, that it should be the market to decide.
yeah,
Like,
well, I mean,
like the market would be like user, like consumer. Here, your project with asking the price is a consumer. It's a consumer project. So the consumer, they believe that, okay, like Kleros is broken, well, they should go into the fork.
well,
And
no,
the thing that all of it should,
usually like the user contract, like for us, like the whole reason you would want to use Kleros would be so we don't need to have any governance in our system.
oh yeah, most of the contract you can't even change the arbitrator.
Sure.
But then that would mean that you have some sort of contagion, or okay, like this contract is bad. Then people like you end users, they will end up using other contract, which will be using other arbitrator. And the whole point of this is that normally it should not happen.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But the fact that it could happen means that you have less incentive into trying to attack the system. Same as for the appeals. Like, I don't think we ever saw an appeal going up to the last amount of jurors. Yeah, no, we never saw an appeal going to the max amount of jurors.
What's the
But
most?
the fact that it could happen means that people, they have to think about what would happen if you were to draw those 500 jurors. How would they vote? How would they think? What do you think they would vote? And then you have to vote coherently with that.
Yep. And then what would be, I mean, I'm guessing there's a big fee on the fork.
No, there's no fee for forking.
Do you just run a function and it forks, or
No, you like for now you just deploy some new contract, and on the next version you will have forking, which will be like an in-system forking where it will automatically deploy a new contract.
oh, so the forking isn't built into the contract.
For now in the V1, it's not built in. You can just make it yourself. The contracts are made such that it's easy to do because you can easily copy balances. But it's not something which is currently built in V1, but it's going to be built in for V2.
Yeah, well, I think Augur like has it built in, right, or something like that.
I think Augur has it built in.
Yeah, that was like the original fork, and then
actually you're comparing with Augur, and that's quite relevant because both Augur and Kleros were heavily inspired by Trustcoin, which was an idea of a prediction markets and prediction market arbitrator. But it was to be made on Bitcoin, and like never really took off because really that on Bitcoin is done very easily.
Cool. Okay, so you would So like when's V2 launching, by the way?
Well, the goal would be to have that this year.
Okay. When is it? Would you
This year. The goal is
here? Okay.
finish it before 2023.
All right. So and then you fork if still bad, and that's really good. No, I think it's good.
Oh, and something that you may have forgotten is the P&K redistribution. Once a case is final, well, once a ruling is final, people who voted currently with the final ruling, they get paid arbitration fees, they get some P&K, but people who did not vote currently, they lose part of their P&K.
Oh, okay. So like it's a majority, like a shelling system type of piece.
It's a majority of the final vote, yeah.
So
You
final
want to be
vote.
current with the final vote.
Final
So
vote.
it's changing current system, yeah.
Majority voters. Do the majority voters get the minority voters' shares?
Only a part of it. So even when you are voting in a minority, it's not like you're going to lose all your token. You're going to lose a bit of token, but not all your token. Because Kleros should be able to handle subjective rulings. And if a ruling is subjective, it doesn't mean that people who did not vote for it were malicious. Like they may just have a different opinion. But if you like tend to have different opinion all the time, well, that's probably this case that you are malicious or voting randomly or accepting bribes or something which is not good for the system. So that's why your stake will decrease over time if you are not taking your job correctly.
That's like, well, I was just thinking, I'm sure you saw like the Supreme Court case today in the US. Like we overturned Roe v. Wade, and it's like, if this was the case, the minority justices would have been slashed.
Yeah, or maybe they fork, like, yeah. I think like when you have, that's something which could happen, you could also have fork without any malicious actor involved. You could have a community which could be so split that they would have such a different vision of the rule of law of the project that it would be better for them to split than to continue to be in the same place and fight from within. And in this case, you could get this kind of fork. Actually, we got a huge dispute during the US presidential election.
Oh, yeah.
And you had around 10% of the juror who were voting, stating that, well, we don't really know who is the president of the US. It's something which is undetermined because like Trump is doing some legal challenges and stuff like that. So they were only 10% because like Kleros are mainly non-US. Okay, maybe if you assume that like half of the US people who vote for indetermined and half for yes, sorry, half for not elected, maybe you could retro-engineer that we may have 20% of user linked to the US in some way. And in this case, if we had almost only US user, we would have something which would be very close to 50-50. And maybe it would be such a fundamental divide that it could have led to a fork. But here, like the people who were stating that they didn't know that Trump lost were still like a very small minority of only 10%. So it was not really like they knew that if they were to fork, they would not manage to get significant traction. But it could happen in the future on a very, very controversial topic. And abortion could be one, because like abortion is like abortion or veganism. These are like example of extremely subjective topic because it's about what do you consider to be valuable. Like, do you consider that the theft is valuable? Yes or no? Like, there is no right answer to that.
Right.
Like, it's purely a moral question. So,
well, do you
maybe
think
when you have like that, best to speak. It will be the same for veganism. Like, should the animal be given rights? Yes or no? There is no right answer to that. It's like it's completely subjective.
Well, do you think you would see like I'm not gonna rule on this thing, or sort of a refuse to rule kind of?
Refuse to rule? No. Like refuse to rule is really like refuse to arbitrate is very when something that Kleros doesn't want to rule on because it will basically it could be malicious.
Okay.
So like really like think assassination markets. Don't think subjective stuff. Like Kleros will still rule on subjective things, but they don't want to rule on things which will allow anything very immoral. Like see like like slave trade, like make an escrow to trade slaves, something like that. Like they will refuse to arbitrate on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so like Teller's like sort of being developed to be used in like a mixer type application. So like, similar to like a tornado cache. If you guys were sort of handling disputes for like a mixer, how would that like would that be a refuse to arbitrate?
No, I don't think mixer is like anything immoral.
Well,
like, so the rules are like
here in the US at least.
What?
They would definitely, they're illegal here in the US. So
but
like,
that's the thing, like as we talked previously, you can't like pretty much anything is illegal somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't be legal everywhere.
Right.
For example, just like minority rights, for example, like LGBT right. In some places, it's forbidden to discriminate against LGBTs. In some places, it's mandatory to discriminate against LGBTs. So you can't be legal in both ways. That's not something which is possible for a global court. Like a global court will always make decisions which will contradict the doctrine of at least one country.
Okay. I like it. Well, I guess this would be a good bridge into the maybe it's for V2, but are you guys using proof of humanity at all? I know that's something.
Yeah, like for V2, we could also have more modular courts where you could, for example, have courts where people cannot get more than a vote, which could be quite interesting. Because the problem with people having more than one vote, like if you have a lot of PNK, you could be drawn multiple times, is that they could only do the work once, only evaluate the case once, but then they get paid multiple times because they get multiple votes, so multiple payouts. So it tends not to be very good at having people getting multiple votes, because then it could lead to even more concentration, because like they have an edge because they need to do less work per vote. So in this case,
the user gets to choose.
Oh yeah, like users they choose which court they want. By user, I mean like platform using Kleros. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would get a pick whether he wanted proof of humanity resistant people.
Sometimes user can also choose the arbitrator, but it's less common. Like often it tends to be the platform choosing the arbitrator. But for example, in reality, which is the Oracle for home prediction market, well, they can choose which arbitrator they want.
Okay. Cool. So you
the market creator decides.
So we could all just choose Vitalik to be our arbitrator or something.
Well, may not have, you may not want to be, but you can choose an individual to be an arbitrator. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Okay, and then so I guess I have to just point out. So what's the attack vector on this? I mean, I guess it would just be like you accumulate 51% of the stake PNK, right?
Yeah, that's what we call 51% attack. First, like getting 51% of the PNK would be very hard.
Sure.
First, you don't even have that on the market, and it will not cost the same amount of the current market cap, because as you try to buy more and more, well, the price increases more and more. So that's actually one of the reasons to have a specific token. Because if we were just staking ETH, for example, well, you can buy ETH and you're not going to really affect the price of ETH when you are buying quantities which are of the order of magnitude of the value stake in Kleros. But once you have a specific token, when you do impact the market. And another reason is, even if you manage to 51% attack Kleros, then, well, you just own half of what you just destroyed. People will stop using Kleros. So if people will stop using Kleros, well, you will not get any cases, so you will not get any arbitration fee for jurors, so you will not get any value for PNK. Because why is PNK valuable? Because you can more or less see it as a taxi medallion token, like it's a token that you use to get assigned some work. So now if there is no more work, well, no more reason to have PNK. So PNK will drop to 0. So as an attacker, that will not only you need a very high budget, because you need to be able to buy all those tokens, but it also has a very high cost, because the value of this token will decrease as soon as you manage to do your attack.
Right. All right. Yeah. So. Super cool. No, I mean, I guess one of the last things we can do is maybe talk about, I know this is V2, but like how you guys plan on getting to other chains, because I know that's, you know, like,
oh yeah,
we
so,
would, you know, like if I don't know what's the polygon symbol. It's like an M, right? Or no, that's the old Matic one. But if we were over on Polygon with our app, how would we use Kleros?
so even right now you could use it through a bridge. So you can send your dispute through a bridge. Then you get this contract, which on the Kleros, on the Ethereum side, is gonna ask Kleros. Yeah. On the next version,
you guys have you'd have to kind of make your own.
For Polygon, I don't think there is anyone active yet, but you had someone making code for it. So probably just something you need to be deployed. There is an application.
Should.
What?
We should talk after this. We can.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, because I mean, Teller could easily pass the thing over. I wonder, like, yeah. So
when I need a bridge, I mean like a specific like bridging contract. Like it's using the underlying Polygon to ETH bridge, but you can't you don't just use a bridge. Like you need to have like some more logic. And you send some information which now goes on the Ethereum contract side, and it then sent to Kleros, and then how do you handle the fees and stuff like that. Like it's not just about using the bridge. Like you always assume the existence of AMB, arbitrary basis bridge.
Yeah, well, I mean, you would just need like if this user smart contract goes over here, then you know the challenger, whenever you kick off the dispute, basically then somebody would have to go kick it off here, which it could even be off chain. They go and kick it off in your Kleros system, and then you basically you could post it on Teller here and then just like read, or post it on chain there and then just read the result using Teller, I guess.
So what we are building for V2, we are setting up an optimistic bridge where basically you don't use a bridge most of the time. You just have people reporting on the other chain, and only if they lie, then someone can say, okay, like they lied in their report, and then you will use the underlying bridge. So that's because you're going to be on a rollup, and like you take 7 days approximately to get some message from the rollup to the main chain. Now, if you are like on even on another network, that's even an extra time to go from rollup to Ethereum to the network. So you don't want to have this delay all the time. So you allow people to report results. If you believe that, if no one believes they are wrong, well, they just get executed. If someone believes they are wrong, well, they could pay a deposit, and you need to use the underlying bridge.
Yep. No, and then I guess, well, if you had some sort of bridge, I mean, because that's going to be the hard part, is like if you want to go to all the other chains, you know, getting the bridge is probably going to be the hardest piece to it. And then where is the future of this? I guess going to be Gnosis chain then?
I don't know. Like you're gonna definitely be on like the main Kleros will be on a rollup. On a rollup of Ethereum. Yeah.
You're gonna build.
Ethereum is clearly like the most secure chain, so you want to have the same level of security as Ethereum, but you don't want the very high fees. So you want to have a real rollup.
Yeah.
And so for now, most of the rollups are not real rollups. Most of the rollups they're not real rollup in the sense that they are owned ultimately by multi-sigs. So if you use them, well, you get the risk of the tech complexity plus the risk of the centralization. So for now, it's like strictly safer to just do centralized stuff compared to use the like what they call rollups, which are currently deployed. But all those rollups they have in their roadmap removing the multi-sig, and once they are not upgradeable anymore, you will have the same security as Ethereum with way lower fees. when I say same security, it's almost the same security because you have, in addition, assumed the existence of one honest party to challenge a false claim on this product. But that's like a security, an extra security property, which is almost trivial because if you don't believe anyone is doing it, you can do it by yourself. So it's a very easy to satisfy security property.
So are you guys going to roll your own or go with a current provider?
No, we're probably going to go on one of the large product. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like we had to make bridges because no one was making this kind of optimistic bridges. Like on all of the bridges I saw, they had additional security assumptions. But rollups, I think they're gonna remove their multi-sig one day.
Cool.
Well, fortunately, before we use them.
So then you have to go from the roll up then directly to Matic, or hopefully, so then you can keep things cheap.
Oh yeah, then when you are on the rollup, you can report the result directly on Polygon, and only if someone make a bad report, then you need to use the underlying bridges where you need to go from your rollup to the Ether mainnet, from the mainnet to Polygon. But that should not happen because people who make wrong report, they will be guaranteed that they will lose once someone challenges their wrong report.
Well, I mean, handling how that optimistic rollup works too. I mean, and that because I think that assumes that you guys have good bridges, like because some chains don't have full bridges, you know, like.
Oh yeah, like you need to have an underlying AMB. Yeah.
Yeah, so you would have to have like an underlying standard bridge because I mean I'm sure you've seen like.
Yeah.
So most bridges really suck these days too.
Yeah, but the most important that we are looking at are the bridges which are like rollup bridges.
Yeah.
And they are quite secure, assuming the rollup is secure. The only problem is that they are slow.
Yep.
They are mainly slow because they are scared of time constraints, 51% attacks. So they are scared that someone could get 50% of the hashing power for a short period of time. For our use case, it's not very much a concern because you don't have any double spending. You know, like the juror, even if the juror could modify their vote, it's unlikely that they would. You know, so it's more about just passing some information. You don't have this double spending problem. And also, once ETH goes to B2, well, you're gonna be in a staking system where like time limited 50% attacks are way less possible than with proof of work. Because with proof of work, if you attack the chain 15% for some short period of time, well, you still have your miners, so the cost is not necessarily that high. But with proof of stake, if you attack the chain for a short period of time, well, you lose your stake, so the cost is very high for the attacks.
Yep. Cool. All right, what did I miss? Did I miss anything? Or
no, I think it's good. Well, you mainly focus on the Kleros side. We can talk a bit more about applications if you wish, but otherwise, I think it's good.
no, I mean, I think, yeah, you guys got some cool users as far as a lot of different protocols that use you guys for just basic dispute settlement and governance quorums, right?
Yeah, because for us at the Kleros cooperative, like making Kleros is only half of the work. If you make a dispute resolution system, well, and there, well, that's not going to do much. The other half is really building the ecosystem. So at first, we made some showcase application, like a token registry of token, the logo, the address, curate, which is the general token registry. We made proof of humanity, a CB resistant list of human. And now, like the ecosystem is way more, like, I mean, the crypto ecosystem is way more developed. So now, instead of making projects ourselves, we tend to have more integration with partners like insurance with Enslash, prediction markets with Omen, execution of DAO decision with 1inch, a lot of integration. So integration, it takes also a lot of work, like to convince, to communicate about Kleros, sometimes to help technically the integration, to support those partners who are using Kleros. that's the other half of what we do at the Kleros cooperative, which is developing the ecosystem.
Cool. All right. Very nice. Well, then that's, I think we took up quite a bit of time, so we're almost at now. Yeah, I guess so. We'll kind of keep a lookout for V2 from you guys. Anything else we can look forward to coming up over the
yeah, V2 of Kleros, also working on the V2 of Proof of Humanity, which would be more suited to attach soulbound tokens, which are quite high right now, I guess. Like lot of cases with Unslash. Actually, I think we got more value settled by Kleros application, like application running on Kleros on those 2 months than we ever had. Because like you got like the USDT peg, so you had a very large amount of claims on Unslash, where all the claims which were a bit non-obvious were sent to Kleros because they were challenged. So yeah, like we have like real use, we have like small use, like a few bucks use with Proof of Humanity, which is like, oh, like is this video really the video of the right guy to like $1 million insurance claims, which are not non-obvious. So I think we are getting quite a large range of use, either like high volume, low value use, I would say, with Proof of Humanity, and also lower volume, high value with insurance, prediction markets, and like financial application in general.
Yep. Super cool. No, I'm excited to see it. We love you guys as a project. So yeah, I will. Anything else? I think that's good.
Oh, that's good for me.
Cool. Thanks for hopping on, and yeah, I'll post this in a few weeks. Thanks, everyone. See you.
Yeah, don't hesitate to tell me so I can retweet and send that to the com team.
Oh yeah, well, where can people reach you? I'm still recording. Kleros.io.
Yeah, like you can look at our website on Kleros.io, and if you want to talk to me, the fastest is probably Telegram. I can write it in the chat if you wish.
Okay. Yeah, it's Clement.
Like that. C and the Sage, my family name.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching.